Greetings, Miss Corn and classmates. I'm going to start out in my XIB file and just show you the controls that I've placed. I have a text box for my calculation. I put a label um, for my minutes, um, just an added touch so you could see using the stepper control the minutes going up or down. I'll show you at the end that I never did end up getting the calculation to work to include the minutes. My text box was a calculation of cost per minute, and the initial calculation was for 1 minute. I was going to multiply it by the number created by the stepper control and print that back in the text box, but I never got that to work. It kept zeroing out my totals. So here's my text box. Um, here's a label for minutes. Here's my stepper control. Here's my subclass buttons. Here's my calculate button and buttons that I press for colors and my information button. Um, Here is my code. As you can see, I have code for on change for the segment control, on click for my second view controller that opens on the information button, and IB action for stepper. I don't know if I said stepper earlier. It's actually my segmented control. An action for the value of my stepper changing, an action for my buttons, my subclass buttons, an action to perform the calculation for the various subclasses. I've got my data for Sahara, all the costs, and a calculation of the cost per minute, Titanic, Avatar, my secondary view controller. There's my code. And then my subclasses. And my factory and base. And now we'll show you the functionality. Press the subclass buttons, it puts the subclass name in there. Run a calculation. Tells you how much the movie cost to make per minute. As you can see, when I select my subclass button, it is now disabled, and the Sahara button is enabled. You can see Titanic is up in the text box. I run the calculation, and there's a calculation for Titanic. I select Sahara. Sahara is now, Avatar is now in there, and that subclass button is no longer able to be clicked. Calculate. There's the calculation for Avatar. And then I've got the little segmented controls. You click on green, the screen changes green, and you've got a label that says green. Select blue, screen is blue, label says blue, and yellow. There's yellow. And then my information button pulls up the secondary screen. There's my close button. And you go back to the original screen. Now, one thing that I know I could have done better was the stepper control. I thought what would be best is to display the current minutes, and I wanted a label to display that, and then that works. You can step up and increase the minutes in the label, but no matter what I tried, oops, I just minused out, I put the minutes, it goes up as high as 10. What I wanted to do with this feature was to pull these minutes from my label and multiply it by the data in my text field. The minutes in the label are an integer, and the data in the text box is a float, and casting that to the integer to a float gets a little bit confusing, but I've been able to do it. It's just not working with my calculation. For some reason it kept zeroing out my totals, and rather than keeping that, I wanted the calculation function to work properly. I didn't want it zeroing out, and so I did not get the stepper control to work as we were instructed. And that's my app for week 2.